What's up, y'all? This is Revolutionary Fitness Radio, episode 33.
The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is here.
Welcome to another episode of Revolutionary Fitness Radio. I'm your host, Sean Garcia, and this is the podcast dedicated to bringing health, fitness, and wellness to the people. Our goal, empowering you all to understand your body, treat it well, and give you the tools to become an agent of change in your community through helping others. Let's move together.
The perseverance of a rebel, I drop heavier levels, it's unseen or heard. A king with words, can't knock the hustle, but I've seen street dreams deferred. Dark spots in my mind where the scene occurred. Some say I'm too deep, I'm in too deep to sleep. Through me, Muhammad will forever speak. Greet brothers with handshakes on ghetto landscapes, where a man is determined by how much a man makes. Pop cognacs and spit old raps with young cats with cigarettes in their ear. Nigga rich they appear under the FUBU is a guru, that's untapped. Wanna be in the rat race but ain't ran one lap. Ran so far from the streets that you can't come back.
On today's show, we're very excited to have a group from Los Angeles called the Ovarian Psycos Bicycle Brigade. It's a collective of women and female identifying individuals who have formed a bicycle club out in Los Angeles, and I think in the surrounding areas. I'm not sure if they're only based in Los Angeles, but primarily in the Los Angeles area. And their focus is to fuse bicycle culture and riding bicycles with political education, political empowerment, and social justice involvement. So we're going to talk to a group of them today and talk about, how are they fusing these two worlds of fitness and politics, and what have they been able to do in the past couple of years since their founding. They're a very exciting group, and I hope you all enjoy the show. Thanks. This episode of RevFit Radio is brought to you by Lifeline Products. Lifeline has been developing innovative training tools for over 40 years and has defined the benchmark in professional grade products used for bodyweight, progressive resistance, and functional training. RevFit has been using and promoting Lifeline products since our founding nearly 5 years ago. From the Jungle Gym XT to resistance bands and of course the amazing Power Wheel. We fully endorse the design and quality of their products, and you can check out our favorites on our site at revolutionaryfitness.org/lifeline. That's LIFELINE. All right, folks, thanks for joining us for another episode of Revolutionary Fitness Radio. Today we're joined by a couple sisters from the core collective of the Ovarian Psycos Bicycle Brigade based out of Los Angeles, California. So we're very happy to have them. What's up, guys? How y'all doing?
Hey. Hey. On the West Coast.
Good to have y'all on. So can you all introduce yourselves individually so we know who we have on the air?
Okay, my name is Erica Reyes. I've been what we call a slit for a few months, so I'm a sister leader in training. So I'm just beginning. And the reason I joined the Ovarian Psycos is because I think they're a great group. We're a great group doing great things for the community, and I love riding my bike. I love riding my bike with a bunch of women, so that's pretty much it.
I'll go next. This is Marianne. Hi, everybody. My name is Marianne Aguirre. I have been with the Ovarian Psycos for about 4 years now, and my current role with the Ovarian Psycos for this season, I am the community organizer. The reason why I first joined is I got invited to a full moon ride, and it was raining, and it was like 11 miles, and I hadn't picked up a bike in so long, but I got invited to a lunar ride, and I think my first lunar ride that I went on, I was just hooked. It was euphoric just to be around just a group of individuals who were really so welcoming. I never really grew up with like a lot of sisters, so it was just this new, just totally different energy that I've never had experienced before. I think I was one of the last folks on that ride, but they kept encouraging me to go the whole way. And I had an extremely small bike, too, but it was good. So, yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Karen Diaz. I've been with the Ovarian Psycos for about a year now, and my current role is with media, so helping promote and advocate all the things that we stand for and engage with the brigade, which is all of our fans, supporters, allies, engage with them over social media and through our blog and our email. And the reason why I joined the Ovarian Psychos was because I was a huge fangirl and stalker on the social media, and I wanted to learn how I could take feminism, environmentalism, indigenous understanding out of the institution, which is where I was coming from, and apply it to everyday life. And it's been one of the most transformative things I've ever done for myself. So that's why I am with them right now.
Dope.
Hi, I'm Evie, or Evelyn, and I've been a Nova for 2 years now. And the reason, or what attracted me to the collective, was the fact that it was a group of women discussing topics affecting my community, and I felt very proud that this particular group, they weren't just women, but they were young women. And I graduated from Roosevelt High School, and at the time, I remember going to community meetings or whatnot, but most of the folks out there were older, and so I felt discouraged when my own peers didn't pay attention to the issues that were going on in the community. So when I first heard of the OVAs, I wasn't riding a bike. It was the activism that attracted me to the collective. And so a year after, or I think it was, a year after, I actually started riding. I met a Nova, and she encouraged me to pick up a bike, and I haven't stopped riding since.
That's awesome. So great to meet all of y'all. We talked a little bit offline about how Revolutionary was founded and the attractiveness when we heard about your collective and the work that y'all were doing, and we wanted to link up with you. So thankfully we were able to do so. So can you all talk about kind of, what are the roots of Ovarian Psychos? How were you guys founded? How long ago, and what was the main motivations behind that?
So basically, Ovarian Psychos was founded about 4.5 years ago. And our founder, her name was, she goes by the name of Chela de la X, or Siwat Se, and she's a female woman conscious hip-hop artist. And basically, I guess the story goes is that for some reason, something happened with her car, and she ended up picking up a bicycle. And so for a small little period of time, she started riding her bike to work, and she just noticed that there was this need of having more sisters in her life.
In the summer of 2011, I guess that's when Chela got together with maybe a few women. I remember hearing the story of how only one woman showed up, or like maybe 2 or 3 at the first ride. There was really no one. And I guess the principles came upon because Chela realized that the bike culture was dominated by white males, and there's also a lot of oppression and racism. Most of the people that ride their bikes are low income, and we see it in the community. I saw it personally once I started riding with Ovas, that there were not a lot of women out in the street. So as a female myself, I suffered a lot of harassment, and it was not even suffered. Like, I went through an experience, because that actually empowered me to continue riding. And so Chela went through all of this. She saw how just the bike culture was dominated by white males, like I said, or a lot of males that weren't really welcoming to female riders. And it's also, for myself, what I see in the bike community, once I went deeper into it, is that it's very competitive, and there's sometimes not a safe space for women, especially beginners, to go in and not just learn how to feel safe on the bike, but learn how to build community. So there is a lot of things and ideas that I guess were just brought together from the organizing side, and also the need that we saw in the community for sharing knowledge about biking and using the bike as a weapon. That is the main thing that Chela wanted to get across, that our bodies are weapons, and we can make our statements a physical statement just by riding our bikes, whether it's to work or school or whatnot. Our mission is we're all of women of color bicycle brigade, cycling for the purpose of healing our communities physically, emotionally, and spiritually by addressing pertinent issues through cycling. And like I mentioned, what attracted me was that every single ride there was a particular topic or an issue that nobody spoke about. I think it was 2012 when there was 2 women kidnapped in Lincoln. Was it Lincoln Park?
It was in Lincoln Heights. One was in Lincoln Heights, one was in Ball Heights.
Lincoln Heights. And so nobody really spoke about it. There was a news clip, but that was about it. And so that is something that I saw the OVA is offering a space for addressing that issue, but also allowing the women to come together, take back the streets, and be proactive about it because the police weren't doing anything about it.
So what do you think? What do you think it is about forming a bicycle group, a bicycle collective, a bicycle club that was beneficial? I mean, because there's many ways that you could organize around community and around women's liberation. Why use bicycles as an organizing tool?
Because of the communities that we live in, and because of our circumstances, like similar to Tella, how she couldn't drive her car, and she just her only means of transportation basically was her bicycle. Mm-hmm. And living in low-income communities, we realized that this is a very frequent form of transportation for our family members, for our parents, for our community members, and just folks in the everyday, especially for and then with us, since we're young, especially for students. I'm a mother, so, just ways, more time mobile form of transportation, whether it's the bus or the bike or walking. So I think using the bicycle as a tool it has more meaning than just obviously just riding the bicycle.
Right. Deeper connections with working class folks and modes of I mean, especially in Los Angeles, for those who are not from Los Angeles, it's not really a walking community, right? You can't really walk around LA. Everything's kind of spread out. So you have to either have a car or, and you guys are advocating bicycling. I mean, it's not like in New York City where there's mass transportation and everyone walks everywhere and all that kind of stuff. It's a little different out there.
Yeah, to get sometimes in public transportation to get from one side of the city to the other. You get from the east side to the west side, it's probably 3.5 hours in public transportation. It's ridiculous.
I guess another thing to point out too is that the psychology of an urban setting is usually through the lens of a man or through patriarchy or through very dominant, aggressive forces, and so women aren't typically kept in mind when cities are built or when thinking about transportation, and so because of that, we're also not encouraged to bicycle. We're easy targets. And when we choose to bike as a group, it's probably one of the safest things that we can do. And it also provides a space for women who have never felt safe on the streets, whether walking, whether commuting on buses, whether on the trail. They constantly get harassed. And I feel it personally when I bike with a group of women. I feel safe. I feel so safe. It's one of the most liberating feelings in the world. I think that's why it's really important that, we use it practically, the bicycle, but it's also a tool to address other issues that we address in the community, but first and foremost, autonomy for women.
I think it's an interesting point because I think many people, men in particular who maybe can't relate to the issue, and even some women might think that bicycling, that physical culture of bicycling is male dominant because males have a natural attraction to bicycling while women don't. And I think the point that you guys are advocating is not that is the case. This is not some innate natural thing, but rather it's the heckling, it's the harassment, it's the lack of encouragement, it's the lack of safe spaces for women to express themselves in this form of physical culture that is really detracting many women from participating. So can you talk more about maybe some actual cases of heckling or harassment or deterrent that maybe you all have personally encountered?
So a good majority of us from the OVAs we come from Latina families, and one major thing that is at least with our culture, is like the woman or the girl, you know, as a little girl, you cannot go on a bicycle, you know, and actually Chala, our founder, she experienced this. Her mother wouldn't let her go on a bicycle because she said, no, that you can't put something between your legs right there, you know, because you're a little mujercita, you're a little girl, you know, and that's inappropriate, you know. So, I mean, even starting, you know, we can date back the trauma from just like our childhoods too, of just, you know, being told constantly of just like, you can't do this, you can't do that, no, that's inappropriate, that's not right. So yeah.
That's so true, because we were talking the other day about how we don't go on rides with our moms, or we can't invite our moms because my mom doesn't know how to ride a bike. And a lot of people, a lot of us were talking about how our mothers don't know how to ride bikes.
Because their mothers told them that,
Yeah, it's telling of our culture. I mean, I grew up and my dad would ride a bike everywhere, and he would take us on bike rides. That's how I developed my love for bike riding. But I see it, you know, as I get older, you know, as I, you know, got into my teenage years, it was something that I shouldn't have done, you know, that I shouldn't have gone out to play. I shouldn't have gone out to ride my bicycle anymore. And, you know, things change. But I see it in my friends who don't want to ride a bike. They're scared of their bicycles. And I love that the OVAs, you know, they really do create that safe space, and going on a lunar ride, you know, on a full moon, and being able to go out at night, you know, with a group of people and feel safe, you know, and they're all women. That's something that you don't come across, you know, ever, really. When I first heard of the clitoral mass, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful idea, and being there was even more awesome, you know, because it was a place where I could ride my bike and be free and not be afraid of guys telling me, hey, you know, smile for me, or hey, you know, whistling or doing, you know, all of those things, doing whatever. So yeah, I think it's you know, you can't really talk to any woman who hasn't been on the street and hasn't been asked, or, you know, been afraid of riding their bicycle by themselves.
Well, I mean, historically too, you know, just to mention, you know, back in the 19th century when bicycles were first created, you all probably know this, but for the audience, you know, in the 19th century when bicycles were first created, one of the first forms of women's liberation and really, you know, many of the leaders of the women's suffrage movement in the U.S. primarily, their first like act of defiance against the system was to participate in the bicycle craze and start riding bicycles on with skirts on and things like that. And it was a very radical and revolutionary kind of thing to witness. And I mean, even today, if you see a woman riding by, many people who are not used to seeing that and might think, oh, that's odd, or that's surprising, or, you know, oh, you know, what is she doing on that bike? You're seeing more and more of it, but I mean, obviously, you know, it's a very radical and revolutionary act, and I think people kind of underestimate the liberating factors that you all are talking about with, you know, creating this bicycle collective.
I think that when it was founded, the women that were in the first, I guess, whoever created the first core, they were aware that, you know, this, the way where we live now, you know, capitalism attacks race, gender, and they do that by perpetrating systems of oppression that continue and allow our communities, our families to think that way. And so the main reason is for us to be able to break the double standards altogether by through indigenous understandings. And I think that is what makes the Luna ride so special, because we try to pass down whatever wisdom we learn from the elders, and it's a healing connection to be able to understand why we're riding a bike, but also be able to open up a healing space for women to, you know, make that change and be able to get that courage for them to ride on their own.
Dope. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the kind of events or things that you all put together. You have mentioned the lunar rides a couple of times, so I'm assuming that's one of the things that you all do. Can you talk a little bit about the lunar rides and other kind of events that y'all put together?
Yes. So our most famous and our most frequent bike ride has been our lunar ride. So Luna stands for moons, and every full moon, no matter rain or shine, we've been having a lunar ride. And basically, we feel that as women, we are connected, more to the moon. So there's the Aztec moon goddess, the Mayan moon goddess. It's called, her name is Kuyoshauki. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not sure if anybody on the line is more familiar with the story of Kuyoshauki, but basically it's a story of the moon and how the moon was betrayed or something by the sun, and she was broken into many different pieces. And so there's actually a statue that's somewhere here in LA that's like an exact replica of the one that's in Mexico, and she's broken into many different pieces, So we've done very frequent rides to the statue, and relating it to like us as women and us as like women of color, especially how we're like very much broken into very different pieces, constantly wearing like different hats. And so that ride primarily has always been women identified, gender nonconforming, queer and trans folks. So basically just no cis men, or no cis men and no male identified folks. And so every full moon, we usually end it either with a ceremony or with a workshop that pertains to issues that relate to us, again, as women and especially women of color. And we've done other all-inclusive bike rides too. And we usually get some like backlash, obviously. I don't know if that's another topic that we're going to be talking about. Just backlash from folks, obviously, since it's basically no cis men and no male identified folks on those bike rides. But yeah, like I said, we've done other all-inclusive bike rides. We've done like a male ally ride to basically just have like a conversation on like how men can be better allies to us. And our more now famous one has been our clitoral mass bike ride. So I'm sure you've heard of critical mass.
Mm-hmm. Yep, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So basically, we didn't come up with clitoral mass, but I think it was started like somewhere in like the 90s or late 90s, early 2000s. I want to say somewhere like in, God, I don't know, like Rhode Island or something.
Probably.
Somewhere definitely. Yeah, somewhere over there on the East Coast. But so basically, we didn't come up with it, but we definitely did the first clitoral mass bike ride here in Los Angeles. And this past year was our third year doing it, and it's just basically a play on words, obviously, of critical mass. And it's just reclaiming the streets and taking back the night. And so it's been very, very successful. This past clitoral mass, we've actually we like to ride to different parts of Los Angeles. And so I believe this ride, it was like 32 miles. And it took us like literally the whole day, because there was like 200, 300 folks on that bike ride. And wow. That takes, if you're by yourself or with like a small group of people, riding 30 miles doesn't take rather like too long. But when you're riding with like 250, a group of 250, it takes all day.
For sure.
But yeah, I don't know if the other folks want to chime in on just maybe how their experience was or other stuff we did. That's how Erica actually, who's on the line, who's actually now a Slit, that's how she kind of got involved with through clitoral mass.
Dope.
Yeah, I also became involved last year.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But another thing was, it takes us all day to do it, is because we like to say it's not a race, but we keep a pace, and we never leave any women behind. For clitoral mass, it's a very big undertaking. We have, people who can do first aid. We have women who can do mechanics. We have our male allies who help us pick up riders who they're having an emotional or physical stress or just simply can't finish the ride. They help us get them safely to a metro stop. It's a really huge undertaking. Have a whole big committee. This is how we are able to recruit new Ovarian Psycho Corps members. This is how we can engage with the brigade, with our male allies, with members of the community, and just people who maybe want to donate, people who maybe want to help us with food, or who want to facilitate a type of workshop. So it's a labor of love, not just from us, but from our brigade and from the entire community, and just and from people who are big supporters and fans. So it's really beautiful to finally get to do the ride. It represents so much for us each year.
One of my favorite co-ed rides or with male allies was the tour of the Boyle Heights, and at that point I was an organization with the Overs. I had just started riding with them, and they connected different resources in the community. So we had different stops where we talked about the space and what was being done and what kind of resources they were able to offer to the community. And that for me was beautiful because, you know, there's a lot of us in the community that sometimes don't know, you know, what activism really looks like, or even communities that say. And so for them to be able to bridge these connections and networks through with a bike, that for me was very powerful, and it's one of the most memorable rides I've had with the Obas.
Mm-hmm. And just to chime on like Tour de la Heights too. I mean, I'm sure you living in New York, you're very familiar with gentrification that's going on over there.
Yeah.
So the ride too in itself was another issue to just touch on gentrification. And you know, a lot of things that happen with gentrification obviously is that like some small mom and pop stores that have been there for ages, they get displaced, they get outbid, they get out, you know, because of the little coffee shop that, you know, is down the street that was mom and pop owned. Like now there's this fancy ass coffee shop that all of a sudden owns down the street. And so that bike ride, what we did was riding around like what we considered like cultural gems in Boyle Heights, because right now we're battling our own like gentrification here. So really it was like a way to go on a bike ride and like show folks like, listen, like this is the beautiful stuff that's going on in our community, and these are like the small mom and pop shops that are you know, that we need to help thrive. So it was just another like tour to like show folks like we need to invest in our own communities, and these are like some spots that have been around for a while. So
that's so dope. So what's the reaction y'all get when y'all riding down the street and there's a grouping of a dozen or, you know, 50 women of color on bicycles? What's the reaction that the community is giving you?
Depends on the community.
Yeah, this depends on the community.
So let's talk about it. The different communities. What kind of communities are reacting in what ways?
I mean, usually when we're in our own, like we've gone on bike rides, and it's so awesome to just see like the señoras walking down the streets with their kids, and they're like, "No, mira," and everybody just like runs outside, and all the kids, and they're like waving, and it's so awesome. Like folks are ringing their bells, waving back. I mean, it's really awesome to just see like when little girls see you on the bike and see other folks, and they're like, damn, like that girl looks like me, like that looks like me, and they could actually see themselves in you. It's just or even vice versa too, you know. It's just it's beautiful. Usually when we've gone, I want to say it was like last year during Little Mass, I think we rode to like Pasadena. Pasadena is this like little yuppie white little city, a little bit not too far from where we are. But
I've been to Pasadena.
And it was, they have this like strip where it's just kind of like they have a bunch of stores and a bunch of restaurants. And I just remember going through there, and like some folks were just staring, and they were just like coming out of their like little restaurant, and they were just like their mouths just dropped. And some people were like laughing and saying stuff, and they're like, "Oh my God!" Like, you know, like, and obviously since they notice that it's all women, you know, you just get these like bros just like talking their smack. So it's definitely depending on where you're at. It's interesting. I don't know if anybody has other experiences too.
Yeah, don't go to Echo Park because you'll get a ticket.
Can you talk about that? What do you mean?
Yeah, the policing too.
Why are we gonna get a ticket?
they get more harassed. You know, if you're just more, you have to follow the law. Like if you mess up just a little bit, you know, if you're not, especially Echo Park because it's been gentrified to a large extent, and yeah, and you know, you have those shops and the new people that have moved in. They want the police. It feels like the police want to protect the image that they want to portray in that area. So yeah, we've got a ticket there.
Yeah. So I guess the more yuppie, also like place that you go, it's like you just have more of a police presence, and you just get, you know, harassed. So that's another experience.
I mean, it's interesting that the communities that traditionally have been more, I guess, accepting of bike culture or promoting it, or more access is probably the better word. Right. The white communities or the gentrified communities are the ones that you feel like you're gonna get a ticket or you're gonna get some kind of negative feedback. But in the communities where, you know, you were all personally talking about earlier, culturally, it's not, you know, seen as culturally acceptable to be riding a bike or to be, you know, presenting yourself in a certain way as a woman. And in those communities, it seems like those barriers are knocked down very quickly when there's a collective force of women riding through the streets setting an example.
Yeah, I think definitely has to do with, I mean, if we were riding all professional bicycles and in our gear and all of that, you know, we wouldn't have been harassed, I'm sure.
What kind of bikes are you guys riding?
Everyone has all kinds of different bikes, from beach cruisers to speed bikes, single speed. And in my experience, it's been kind of like the opposite. Like I do see a lot of that, the moms with the daughters, and we get claps here and there. People honk at us. We do get a lot of whistles. That has been from both, like the brown and white communities. But also what I have noticed is that in the white communities, like that jaw dropping, like the silence, like are you sure you're in the right place kind of feel. And that has to do with a lot with whoever just said that, the whole gear stuff. Like that is another reason why a lot of people lean towards, or women want to support the Ovas, because we do offer that environment where you don't have to be a professional cyclist. You don't have to have a $2,000 bicycle. You know, the point is to start riding.
That's awesome. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about how you all fuse your bicycle culture with social justice issues. We'll be right back.
I can't find no freedom. No. 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 Oh, what a life, the life that we live. I trip on the sky, inhale my medicine. No freedom for us, I hope y'all listening. We've got to come together. Oh, in this life, oh, so hard to live. All I need is freedom from this world that makes me sick. All I need is freedom from these cages built so thick. I said a slave inside your mind still makes you slaves without a whip. I hope you're listening. We've got to come together. I can't find no freedom. No. I can't find no freedom. No. I can't find no freedom. No. I can't find no freedom. You got to set yourself free. They wanna hold you down. So many me drown. I wonder why they wanna shoot me down. Sister, don't hold no pistol now, brother. Don't need no rifle now, murder. The streets smell like murder. Murder, 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 murder. The streets smell like murder. Murder, 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 murder. The streets smell like murder. I can't find no freedom. No, no, no. 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 Murder, murder, murder. Kill, kill, kill. Los niños mueren en la calle, but you still standing still. La tierra muere cada día. You're still trying to fill tu mundo lleno de vacío. Only fill them with thrills. We be riding bullets, cause you still trying to kill. Tenemos que pelear porque no tenemos paz, no tenemos libertad, solo guerra nada más. Break free from them shackles, no more linking their chains. Stop riding their whips if you really wanna win. You better be ready to die if you're really trying to live. Tenemos que pelear para no solo soñar libertad, libertad. Tenemos que pelear para no solo soñar libertad, libertad.
All right, so we're back here with the Ovarian Psychos. We're talking about a little bit about how the Ovarian Psychos were founded, why they were founded, what kind of work they've been doing out in Los Angeles primarily, and just kind of what the collective is really about. And now we want to talk a little bit about how they've been able to fuse bicycle culture, which seems like something that is not very political per se. I mean, we've already given tons of examples in the first half of the show of how it can be very political, but let's talk about more concrete ways that you all connect social justice issues that might be going on in your community or in other communities throughout the world with the bicycle culture. So anybody want to tackle that?
For me personally, this year has been trying to organize rides to protests, yearly protests. So we tend to do the May Day and also October 22nd, the national protest against police brutality. And so that has allowed us to be very simple but also direct, and also we engage with other collectives like Comida No Bombas. They are a type of food not bombs for in our neighborhoods. We collect food, produce from farmers markets, organic veggies. We make vegetarian burritos and distribute everything on bikes. So we have linked up with them in the past to share scenes and healthy food to the community, and also do bike rides.
So are there sisters in your collective who have joined just purely off of wanting to be part of a bicycle club, and maybe social justice wasn't a factor in their initial reason for joining? Is there any examples of that, or everyone has a kind of a foundation in social justice?
I think the funny thing is I want to say from my experience of what I've seen that folks join the OVAs usually not because they're like some sick cyclist who like fucking rides like 100 miles like every week or something. I don't think any of our members are necessarily like that, or I think through time being with the OVAs, they've gotten more, they've gone on their bicycle more.
Mm-hmm.
I think some folks have joined because of the social justice aspect, but I think you know, I think a lot of us definitely stay or are attracted to just like the sisterhood of it.
Right. So if many members are coming through the sisterhood and the bicycle culture, what is their reaction when the links to social justice and other organizations are made? Is it a natural connection, or are there some questions that arise?
I think I may speak. I think it's a natural connection because the sisters in training, they come to the ride, so these women are already attracted to either or. But for a sister to be invited to join the collective, there's three things they must fit, and which collectively creates the raw spirit of the cycle, which is they must have feminist ideals or somewhat of an understanding. The same goes for indigenous understanding or an interest in that, and urban and hood mentality because of where we come from. And so we kind of, coming into the collective, we kind of already know what's up.
So there's some political education that's tied to the bicycle rides. It's just not getting on the bike, but there's some conversations and dialogue and political education. That's dope. So you spoke about police brutality as being one of the events that you all try to organize for, and obviously, you know, we just heard in the past week that there was a non-indictment for Darren Wilson, and the killer of Mike Brown has gone free, and of course in California, there's dozens and dozens of cases of victims of police terrorism in the hood. So what has been the kind of work you all have been engaging in the past week or so around the Mike Brown stuff, or do you have anything planned?
There was a police brutality ride that we partnered with other cyclists, but that wasn't an OVA organized one. And for that one, what we did was visit various places where Black and brown men were killed at the hands of the police, and all of them were unarmed. And we put up, altares for them to honor them, and kind of spoke about what had happened. And we actually ended up visiting Ezell Ford in South Central. This was a young Black man who was known in the community to have, some mental disorders, or learning disabilities might be the more correct term. And he was shot by a police officer. He was unarmed, and we went to go visit his site, and we were actually able to talk to his family friends and his family, and they were, recording a music video to honor him and to talk about the police militarization in South Central. It was a very moving ride. We rode about 15 miles, and it was mothers, children, men, women, people from all different types of backgrounds and different types of collectives and different types of social activism interests that came together for that day to talk about what was going on. And this was before the indictment came in. This was maybe about 2 months ago.
So maybe the question I'm asking is, what does women's liberation and bicycle culture have to do with police brutality?
Well, for me, it opens up a space for healing and for dialogue to go on. For a lot of cyclists that are into activism or deciding to participate, something I have noticed in common is that they see biking as a form of meditation and healing. So through that, we use the bike tool to heal and also make connections. So, for example, Aaron was able to go back to South Central with other folks and also create this bridge from that east south.
I know, at least for myself, and I think a couple other members, at least regarding the whole Mike Brown indictment, myself and I actually met up with some sisters from a firm at Lamert Park in South Central the day last Monday after the indictment. And I know some of our other members, we had a meeting on Tuesday. I wasn't there. I think it was either on Tuesday or Wednesday that some OVAs were just together for a meeting, and then they ended up going to downtown LA after for the protest. But just from like my conversations with individuals and just other folks and friends that were at that protest too, it's been kind of crazy here in LA just because there's just this really big like white presence, and especially at one of those protests, I think it was on Tuesday, it was like hella just white dominated, leading the chants and leading just like the conversations, and it was just like really uncomfortable for a lot of folks, you know. And then I know just on Wednesday, like I don't know if any overs ended going that day, but from what I know that there was more arrests made in LA than Ferguson, and so I just know that about like 178 folks were like arrested. They were like cornered in some part of LA and in downtown.
Yeah, the most in the country was in Los Angeles. The most arrests during this week of protests.
Yeah.
The
Actually,
LAPD, man, the LAPD is they're crazy.
Yeah.
I actually got to go with a couple of OVAs. This was maybe the day after the indictment, and like Marianne said, it was a little interesting because I really felt that this was going to be a forum for Raza people, for people in our community to kind of come and speak their piece and kind of voice the frustrations that had happened, and instead it was really kind of tragic to see the co-optation of a movement that started by Black people, and then kind of became co-opted by neoliberal white people, who are also part of a lot of the efforts that we're trying to fight, which is gentrification as well. And I just felt like there wasn't any space for our voices, and it was very strange. And on top of that, to see all the police officers in full SWAT gear was very terrifying. It was very uncomfortable. So, us as brown women experiencing that, I didn't feel welcome. I didn't feel like it was my place. But I do know that there were other protests that had a majority Raza, people of color, present. Unfortunately, it just seems like sometimes the movement is disjointed. And then with all the arrests that are happening, it's kind of scary.
Yeah. So do you all agree that one of your strategies is to bring your collective out to these events so that there is a good presence of people of color and that there is a good representation of people of color, women of color primarily?
I think the bigger question is maybe what's our next move as a community. I think it's great to have solidarity and to have presence, but also what are you doing in your community to create change? What are you creating in your community to have accountability? What are you creating in your community to create solidarity and organizing between people? I think that's really important, and I think that's more of an important question as opposed to, are we going to the protest tomorrow? I think it's having a game plan. It's strategizing. It's talking to La Comadre across the street. It's talking to your sister. It's bringing people together and creating a united front.
Well, the LAPD doesn't want you to form a strategy, that's for sure.
Oh, definitely.
They're counting against that, that's for sure. So what's it like when, a collective of bicyclists, women of color, come to a protest or some kind of social justice event? What dynamic does that bring to that event?
I say for the most part, people don't expect it, so there's the shock factor. Like, not only are you a female on a bike, but you're brown and you're here, and so it gets the community excited. I saw a lot of excitement, a lot of encouragement, and as the years go by, I do notice more police presence, but then we do have the right to be out there, and we do support the people that are out there protesting. And when we can, we will go, whether, if not, it's a collective or on our own. And it's for me, it's been very, very empowering and also inspiring to continue doing that work because, like I said, people don't expect it. So when you do, it's like, you start to see the new generation. And basically, for me, as a Nova now, I like to see younger students, younger women on bikes, but also engaging in these type of dialogues and, I guess, events or protests even. And so setting that example for the seeds and for the younger generation is also something we're trying to accomplish. But it's more than just showing up to a protest. The day of tomorrow or before, we got to organize. And so for the most part, I think a lot of us have been putting more of our energy and strategizing about what are we going to do in our community right now with displacement. So, for example, I know some of us are working towards connecting with Northeast LA, the Northeast LA Alliance, for an event on December the 13th. And they're going to do a vigilia for the people that are being displaced, and also to bring awareness into for that community to not only speak their piece, but also share tools and resources about how we can prevent this and just keep organizing and moving forward.
The event on the 13th, where is that exactly?
That's going to be on York, and there's this park called La Tierra de la Culebra. So there's going to be poetry, music, and there's going to be like a vigilia, like a march with candles, and we're welcoming the community to come down and speak about what's going on and hear what their needs are. Because the one way which we organize is we listen to the community so that we can meet their needs. We don't come up with an agenda or have a say on what issues we are going to prioritize. The community tells us what kind of work we need to do.
And so, I mean, it's awesome. I got caught up in thought just thinking about your strategies. So, but the one question I did have, this is kind of a side note. Do any of y'all have suggestions on how to engage the police when you're at an activity and you have your bicycle? Do you have any strategies or tips for listeners? Because I know many listeners are probably engaging in some kind of civil disobedience and they have their bicycle with them and maybe they don't know what to do with them. Should they use them against the cops, or should they tie them up? What should they do?
You should. What was going on is the cyclists were leading the march. So we would go
and creating like a barricade.
Yeah, we would create a barricade not only to protect ourselves, but the people at the front. And so that is the main key. You could use it as a barricade. We did have a cop try to take one of the women's bikes, and we just, the comrade came over and just pulled it back and got it for her. But you do need to be careful, and it's also, we use them as barricades to stop the cars. So we wouldn't just go on the street and run over people. So it's
like traffic control during a march or something like that. Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah, I actually, it's not necessarily for protests, but just like in just everyday cycling, especially when you're dealing with pigs. I actually had a meeting yesterday with one of my homegirls, and she was going to be doing a Know Your Rights workshop, on your bicycle. There was going to be a section specifically on bicycling, and one interesting thing, and they were going to email it to me so I can print it out and I can distribute some of the overs, but they created like a spokes card that had, because I don't know if you ride it, but do you ride a bike actually?
I ride a fixie, yeah.
Oh, okay.
What's up?
What up?
So obviously you know that, like, I don't know if the laws are the same in New York as they are in LA, but as a cyclist, you're able to pick up a full lane. You're not allowed, obviously, to ride on the sidewalk. You're supposed to be riding, the correct way of traffic. And so, these are all, like, laws that we know. But what my friend did was actually look on try to find the specific law code number, and she created like this spokes card,
like a Know Your Rights kind of card.
That she was going to be printing and with the specific fucking vehicle. The whatever code number. So that just in case when folks are going to get in the future, God forbid, get harassed, but it obviously is something that happens frequently. You can just pull that out from your spokes card and just be like, well, like, technically, because a lot of our members have been, like, harassed and just, like, taking up the full lane. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, and then you're talking to this pig and they don't even know, like, the actual law. you know, and you're trying to tell them, like, no, like, I'm right. I know what I'm supposed to do, you know? So, I mean, that's another way that we've, like, or we're at least I'm going to present it to the next meeting. Just another way that, you know, that we're just, like, collaborating with folks and just, you know, finding just other means to just basically just get by, you know.
No, I was going to say in New York, there's an organization called Transportation Alternatives, which does like a lot of know your rights kind of stuff for bicyclists. But they, you know, they come primarily from a white social democratic background. So they put out this literature, and it's helpful for sure. But I think what they're lacking, and it sounds like the component that you are adding is that it's not enough to know your rights, but there has to be a political orientation when you engage with police, when you engage with the pigs. Like, your rights might not matter. And how do you react when they say, you know, fuck your rights, and they end up doing something, like, you know, they end up hitting you or taking your bike or whatever. So that's something, just listening to y'all talk about it, I'm thinking that's some way that we can definitely infuse, you know, into the struggles out here, because there's a lot of know your rights campaigns, but it's not like, there's not that added political orientation attached to it. Like, you know, because people of color, our rights don't really matter, you know?
Yeah, no, something I highly recommend, just not to just activists, but any cyclists, is investing in a GoPro or having your phone in handy and record, because the GoPros really can, like, you know, back you up and be your evidence. Because, you know, one thing is said and done out in the street, but if you have proof of it, then, you know, maybe the law will be on your side. Hopefully.
Yeah, they were talking about LAPD ordering their cameras, you know, that they're actually going to wear now. And they're quote, figuring out the regulations for those cameras, unquote. So we'll see how they're actually going to apply it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's just like when they do interviews, you know, I mean, the recorder is not turned on when you sit in the room, you know what I mean?
That's
but
right.
I mean, that's another issue. But so obviously, yes, you all sound very militant. You give me the impression, maybe I'm wrong, but I get the impression that you sound very much like a motorcycle club in the way you organize. Is that am I wrong? Is this what it kind of sounds like? It sounds like kind of like like, you know, you got like rankings, and you guys have a structure internally of development, and there's kind of, you know, people are in positions. And is that the case? I don't want to go too much into your internal workings, but is that something that?
No.
What was that?
I don't know if I mentioned that when folks join the Ovas, we also like run them over with our bikes. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh, hey,
no,
we're not.
I mean, I would definitely say, you know, and definitely our founder, Chela de la X, was very, very militant as well, you know, and one of her, like, very, like, primary goals was just to have folks be very just strict with themselves and strict with each other, you know, especially if you're dealing with, like, 13 individuals too. Like, you need some militancy, you know, with just your everyday, with your own personal time, with your, you know, with our political views, and just even just like the way we like host our own like personal meetings with the collective, you know, we definitely see the importance of it, you know. And I mean, Ovarian Psycos Bicycle Brigade, you know, and so it definitely comes with the name.
Dope. And so I guess just to end, I kind of want to go around and get everybody's last points on this question. It's kind of, you know, what do you envision with the work that you all are doing through Ovarian Psycos? What do you envision as an end game, or, you know, where do you want to see yourselves, you know, empowering your communities? And how can others who maybe are not in LA or in different parts of the world, how can they start, you know, duplicating the efforts that you all are putting forth and the example that you all are putting forth? So maybe we can just go through and get everybody's opinion on those questions.
I'm going to share the vision statement. We have that. Speaking of being militant, vision statement was adopted the spring of 2012, and it states, we envision a world where women of color are change agents who create and maintain holistic health within themselves and in their respective communities for present and future generations. There has been talks about once we solidify our handbook and the way we organize, we've been considering to open up different chapters throughout, I guess. I don't know if we haven't really decided how far we're going to let it go, but we do see a need for other women to start organizing in their own communities, and we're still working on it. But for myself, I want to see every woman I know on a bike. And for myself, I've been working towards riding fixed gear for maybe the past couple of months, so it's definitely a challenge I want to take as a cyclist, but also to show other women, like in the community, from whatever age they are. I have a lot of younger neighbors, and it gets me really excited whenever I see them riding their bikes, and I want them to continue growing, knowing that they have the power to do that.
Dope.
I guess I'll go next. My envision, I think we've talked about it just like in our own conversations, that everything that we do as Ovarian Psychos, it's not necessarily anything new. Yes, we've brought the bicycle element to it, but our roots and our politics and just folks that we look up to and our heroes are like women from other revolutionary movements in the past. And so a lot of the changes that a lot of the struggles that they had to endure and stuff that they went through, it's somewhat making more relevancy now. And so to me, I don't expect to see any of the changes that we're doing now, like right now, and see the outcomes like happening now. To me, it's just like this process. And what I'm doing personally now, and what we're doing as the OVAs, is just like, we're just continuing that cycle of just the betterment of folks and our people. So to me, it's like, for now and for the next 7 generations, So,
yeah. And then for me, what other women can do, or use the energy that the OVAs are using, is engage with other women that are just like you. For me, navigating through academia, through school was so difficult, but it made it a little bit more digestible and tolerable when there was other brown women, when there was other Chicanas, and there's other women that I could relate to, roll my eyes with, cry to, complain to, laugh with, hug. And when you kind of feel like you're not alone, you feel like you can do anything. The quickest way to annihilate someone is to make them feel alienated and like they don't belong, which is, what's kind of happening to our communities. And what other women can do is to connect with their sisters, to connect with their neighbors, connect with the comadre, connect with younger women, with our elders, to create this strong forefront. And so I hope that, people can take that energy, and I certainly have, and I've learned so much from the OVAs. And I hope to replicate that throughout all the other relationships I form with women in my life.
Yeah, I completely agree with everybody. I think it's important that we keep educating everybody and have them educate us, and we just increase awareness on everything in our community and become connected with our community. And it helps that we just keep growing. That way, maybe it can snowball in the future, and being political, being progressive, I guess, in a sense, can be something that's a norm, for people that are low income, people that don't have access to education, as we might have or might not have. So I think that's really important, as a group and as
just as the community as a whole, and it would be great if it went worldwide, if everybody was connected to the bikes and in that way connected to the communities, or, in any way possible, increase awareness in their community and help each other just be better.
Mm-hmm. And just to reiterate, we do have plans to hopefully to grow, and we've been developing our handbook for quite some time now, but it's just to get actually around to it has just been a little bit difficult. We actually have strategic planning this weekend and next weekend, so we're actually going to be finalizing that handbook and discussing just the process and what we envision, because I think for most of us this is something very new, and it's something that we want to take that nationally to take it. I mean, that's locally to take it nationally, and even hopefully transnationally. So that's we need to have those conversations too, of just like how we want to envision that. So this is very new for us.
Yeah. And I also sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I also want to bring up a vision that we've had for a couple of years, which is having our own space, and we finally were able to get our own space at the beginning of this year. So that's another challenge that the Ovals have been facing this year.
So I was actually going to ask about that. Are you guys doing like an organized fundraiser? Have you done one already? Can people contribute to you if they're listening to the radio show from different parts of the world? Maybe they want to contribute to the effort. Is there a way for them to do that?
The most common way, which we have actually, it's an autonomous community space right here in Boyle Heights. We have some shirts that we sell online on our Etsy account, and so you just go to Etsy and you just in the search engine, you'll just type in Ovarian Psychos without the H. And so that's actually been a very good way that we've been fundraising to just make our rent. But we have some PayPal links, but we've never had individuals just directly pay like that. So I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll put the links. I'll put the links for the shirts in the show notes of the episode. But then maybe I can get one or two individuals' emails so that we can then put that in the show notes as well, so people can contact you directly if they want to make any contributions, or contact y'all about inquiries and want to learn more about y'all, outside of what is on your website and what we talked about on this podcast. That's definitely, we could put that in the show notes.
Yeah, definitely. And we're very active with our Facebook and our Instagram. We do have a website, which is ovarianpsycos.com. And our Gmail, which folks can definitely just reach us there, is Ovarian Psychos. So it's ovarian.psychos@gmail.com. And so we check it frequently. So that would be definitely the best way to just contact us. And numerous people check it. So
dope. But yeah, I mean,
and also, if we could maybe add that we are also going to be talking this in the strategic planning, and our plans for 2015 is the possibility of launching a Kickstarter funding for our space, for our programming, to provide more classes, to provide more capability and capacity to keep our space open for longer periods of time for the community, and to address different issues. So that's really exciting. They're actually meeting today. A couple of other OVAs are meeting right now and trying to finalize that draft and get that up and running. So
dope.
that is in work.
That's dope. Yeah, so whenever y'all get that running, let's get y'all back on the show, because we got a couple thousand listeners from around the world, so it'd be dope to talk about that stuff and get the links up and all that. But definitely, we'll put all in the show notes, we'll put the links to your webpage, your Facebook page, and all that good stuff, so people can get in contact with y'all. But I think, I shared this vision. I really hope that it just becomes natural for our folks to engage in their communities, engage in the political process of their communities on a grassroots level. And if everybody's riding bikes, in a communist world, we get rid of those cars, right? So we're riding bikes everywhere. Cool. All right, so it was great having y'all on, and hopefully we get y'all on soon. Hopefully, we can get y'all talking about the fundraiser soon. But even still, everybody go support y'all. Go to the show notes and try to contribute whatever way you can. And especially if you're in the Los Angeles area, I encourage you all to go, to one of the rides, the Lunar rides. I think Full Moon is coming this weekend, right?
This Saturday.
That's dope. So there's a ride this Saturday. Can you give details on where the ride is starting on Saturday and where it will be going?
Yes, so it's actually, we're actually collaborating with Mujeres de Maíz, which is another indigenous women group here in Los Angeles, and also with another group, Justice for My Sister, with the 16 days of activism against gender violence. And so on this Saturday is going to be day number 12, and so we're actually going to be meeting up at 5 o'clock at La Concha. And so we're going to be watching a documentary by Justice for My Sister, which is called, the collective is also called Justice for My Sister, and it's basically tells of the story of a woman who's trying to get justice for her sister who was actually murdered in Guatemala, if I'm not mistaken. And so after that, we're going to be having a discussion, and around 7 o'clock, we're going to be leaving La Concha and going on a bike ride, and then ending with a full moon ceremony.
Very
so
dope.
If you're interested, we will be promoting that on our Facebook page.
Cool. And if you're not in LA, you could ride to the Food Moon as well and ride in solidarity for sure, right?
Definitely.
All right.
Yes, definitely.
Dope. All right. So I want to thank all y'all for coming on the show, and hopefully we'll be in contact regularly going forward and get you on the show soon, okay?
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. We'll talk to y'all soon. Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
All
Bye.
right. Peace.
Ciao. Work.
Thanks again to the sisters from the Ovarian Psycos Bicycle Brigade, a really dope group of individuals, and you can definitely check them more out on the web. We'll put all the links in, to their website and to their Instagram accounts in the show notes of the show. If you go to revolutionaryfitness.org/033, you'll find the show notes for this episode. And of course, if you go to revolutionaryfitness.org/RevFitRadio, you'll find all our archived and backed episodes. I just want to do a side note. This week was the announcement that Daniel Pantaleo, the NYPD officer who murdered Eric Gardner, was just also, there was a non-indictment found in that case. So again, another instance where someone was innocent, murdered, unarmed, clearly, not resisting arrest. Is a really explicit and kind of troubling to watch video of Eric Gardner's death that you can view online. And again, a non-conviction, a non-indictment from a grand jury with a district attorney that obviously is biased to the police. We'll find out in the coming days if it was, what the details were of that grand jury compared to the Mike Brown grand jury, which, in the past couple of weeks has been exposed as being, kind of like throwing the case on the part of the district attorney and the prosecutors. So, another African-American killed, murdered, and, by the police that are supposed to be protecting our communities. And there's a big sense of anger and resentment and confusion amongst individuals in our communities. What should we do? How can we feel safe in our communities? What needs to change? And it's a very, important time in the history of this country. And I think, people need to get involved. People need to start attending demonstrations, protests, engaging in conversations with their coworkers, families, and friends about these situations. Really, start bringing the dialogue to a place where it's not just anger and confusion, but rather, concrete solutions and strategies to try to end this cycle, this pattern of modern day lynching that's going on within our country. So, of course, you can find out more information on our website about the different actions that we're engaging in the cities that we're located in. But, feel free to look on the web and find other things that are going on in your community. A great resource is the Answer Coalition website, which is answercoalition.org. And they have a lot of resources on different things going on throughout the country and ways that you can get involved in this very important struggle for life, really. So, we'll just leave it like that. Of course, tune in to the next episode of Revolutionary Fitness Radio, which will be airing next Thursday. And until then, let's keep moving together. Peace.
Wake up.
Wake up, get a hold of your life, go get your cake up. The motto in the streets is you eat or you get ate up. Straight up, you tired of waiting, go get your weight up. My people's tired of waiting for reparations to pay us. Screaming Jesus can save us. I get the Bentley if I save up, but that's just another trick to enslave us. Push the minimum wages, put our fathers up in them cages. Then watch how our mothers struggle to raise us. But my ambition won't let me live in this poor condition that doesn't care about color, creed, or your religion. Priests, politicians, gotta listen to opposition. From my position, we still ain't got a pot to piss in. From my position, we still ain't got a pot to piss in.
Allah said, save the babies from the cold, pour wisdom in their cups till the truth overflows. Still, knowledge is that bread that keeps us well fed. Oh, time religion will not bring us satisfaction without action. Now, who can disagree with me? God is not a mystery. There's nowhere in history that you can show and prove to me, but still you face each and knock your head to me religiously. I'm G.O.D. to infinity, for real.
The world won't get no better if we just let it be. Na 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 na. The world won't get no better. We gotta change it now, just you and me.
Poor reparations, the Bush administration, unequality, martial law, segregation, falsehood, false teaching, false education. Now's the time for us to come amongst this nation. They deceiving us, they don't believe in us. They believe in that cream like Julius Caesar. I'm like Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X with the heaters, ripping the chains off the remains of all of the leaders. Never worship an image or be with swine eaters. I'm on the back of the bus with two fine Adidas. We in the jungle of life, but never jungle fever. I'm God body all day long, spiritual life lessons that I recite in the song. Trying to wake up everybody, can we all get along? For all my people that's out there persevering through the storm. Black fist, Staten Island, stand up, stand strong. Penetrate through the gate and bring the clan along.
You gotta get back in the groove. Listen. The world won't get no better if we just let it be. Na 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 na. The world won't get no better. We gotta change it now, just you.
Wake up and realize the times that we living in, the world is getting more iller than ever. Thought we was chillin', striving change for the better, but it was a dream like Martin Luther. He had a vision that could move mountains, protect one another. That's word to my brother Malcolm. Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam. We want justice, police supposed to protect and serve, and then they shoot us down like wild animals. The nerve of them cold-hearted killers with blue suits, slaying our black youth. The earth cries from all the blood that's being spilled. We need a solution fast. Inshallah, Bill, let me educate them, translate it, meaning God's will. It goes all in together how we are. To stand with a plan, divided we bound to fall. And that's the Willie Lynch tactics that separated the masses, taught us all to think backwards.
Oh shit, I'm out, baby, listen. Oh, yeah, boy, this good.